G'day folks, Links here, and welcome back to GTNH. So this video is just going to be a very short one. I don't think I'm going to put it into the GTNH playlist. It will probably be another random channel upload. But yeah, I have made up my mind regarding my GTNH run. I feel that I was too quick to choose the nuclear option of basically starting a new run. So what I'm going to do, which you can sort of already see that I've done or started, this is in a single player copy of the world, and then I'll upload it to the server, to my local server when I'm ready. But I have, obviously you can see that crop set up there. I had another arm coming out that side. That's now gone. So I am in the process of basically systematically tearing down the base. I'm using World Edit to delete the platforms. Which is literally the first time I've actually ever used World Edit. So I've never ever used World Edit before. So, but yeah, I'm using World Edit to delete the platforms. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete everything. I actually feel like this might be a relatively good time for me to do this. So I am technically in LUV, but I think I may even have LUV energy hatch. I can't quite remember how far in I am. I'm fairly sure I do. I think I can make LUV energy hatches and LUV dynamo hatches. But yeah, I think I'm still early enough where doing this is not going to be terribly painful. And one of the other things that sort of struck my mind as I was thinking about this is if we look at setups like my nitrobenzene setup, where I've done extensive wall sharing, the way that the multi-block update works, I didn't mean to do that, but it don't matter. I'm going to tear all this down anyway. The way the multi-block update works, which is something I didn't mention in my previous update video, is that for multi-blocks that have changed, like the tree growth simulator, for example, I think has a new, yeah, here you can see deprecated controller. So this might not be the best example. So as you can see, this has a new structure versus the old one, which has the old structure. But there are some. So if I look at, say, the coke oven, the industrial... Oh, no, the industrial coke oven also does have a thing. But yeah, basically, I can't... The way that the multi-block update works is that these controllers are the deprecated version of the controllers. So you can break these, and I believe you can replace them, and they'll be fine. Like if I do that and then I replace it. Oh no. So once you, oh yeah, no, there it is. So it is valid. Yeah. So so you can, with the old version of the controller, you can you can break it and replace it, and the old structure will still be valid. But for any future ones you craft, for any future controllers you craft, they will have to use the new structure. And the way that you can convert an existing controller is you can just put it in the crafting grid, and you'll get the new version of the controller that has the new structure. But yeah, as you can see, I have extensive sort of wall shared setups. And basically all these multi-blocks, except for the large fluid extractor, still seems to have the same structure. Yeah, they still have the same structure. LCRs, I think, also still have the same structure. Where are we? Large. That's MCR. Large. Oh, no. Oh, no, that's the MCR. Large chemical reactor. So yeah, large chemical reactors still have the same structure. What does the new MCR look like? That looks basically the same. I think the MCR structure visually is actually the same. It's just they've changed the rules around hatch placement, potentially. So I think hatches can now go pretty much anywhere. Yeah, I think hatches can go pretty much anywhere, but otherwise I think it's actually the same structure. But yeah, so... But all these other structures, or basically all these other structures, have changed shape in one way or another, and I won't be able to craft the old one. I won't be able to craft the old ones anymore, the deprecated versions anymore. So DTs, they're still the same, but ICOs, they have a different structure. Tree growth simulator has a different structure. The Dango Distillus, I think, still has the same structure. Yeah, that still has the same structure. Centrifuges have a new... Yeah, centrifuges have a new structure. Yeah, so centrifuges have a new structure. So yeah, I wouldn't be able to just... Because, like, the new coke oven structure does not fit within this blueprint. I don't think. If I wanted to try and wall share 4 of them, I don't think it fits in this blueprint. Sorry, footprint of a quad, a quad block, essentially. And the new centrifuges I might actually be more interested in wall sharing new centrifuges, because I think wall sharing these as they are is ugly, or a bit ugly. But yeah, anyway, so not many of these. So some of these, I think the electrolyzer is another one that's changed. So, and the mega vacuum freezer, although I may not craft another one of those, I don't know. But yeah, a lot of these structures have changed shape. The LCRs haven't, but even in the plat line, I'm fairly sure the mixer and sifters have new structures, etc. So as I build these, basically the two choices I would have is either keep the deprecated controllers, which are going to be removed in 2.10, to my knowledge. So you have one version to basically move to the new multi-blocks. Or, to replace the controllers. So my option would either be, keep these structures exactly as they are and just don't update, or rebuild them with their, new shapes, essentially. And I kind of want to rebuild them because the new shapes look a lot more interesting. The new shapes for a lot of them look a lot more interesting than their sort of current shapes. So yeah, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to tear down basically everything and deposit it back into the ME network. I think this can go as well because I think this actually stopped working. This is what I was using to fill the cells for my universal automation stuff, but I think it stopped working in 2.8 actually, or it might have been 2.9 where it stopped working for some reason. And then I've got my universal automation setups here. I'm probably going to look at getting rid of these and just replacing them with colored hatch setups, or colored buses and hatches. So these are Vulcanus. These are Vulcani. I don't know if they've changed. No, they haven't changed. So they're still the same footprint as blast furnaces. So that's fine. But yeah, so what I'm going to do is basically essentially burn everything. I can burn the Open Computers CropBot thing because we don't need that anymore with Crops NH. So this whole platform can go. Although I may still... I'll have a crop breeding platform. But yeah, and then this lot, because a lot of these have changed now as well. A lot of these have changed shape now as well. Or some of them have anyway. So I definitely want to convert to the new multi-block shapes. But at the same time, I want to rebuild, sort of learning from mistakes and so on that I've made. Oh, do these? Oh no, they do have valid structures. I just expected the textures are different. So yeah, I want to learn from sort of some lessons I've learned over the time and whatnot. So yeah, so basically I'm going to effectively break down the entire base, shove it back into AE, which I should have more than enough storage for. I'm not too worried about power because the power draw for AE is not enormous, and I have the LSC. And power will be the last thing I tear down. So basically, I'll be able to use the LSC to sort of rebootstrap a new power setup. And worst case scenario, if I'm brutally honest, worst case scenario, I may just temporarily attach a neutronium cell to the AE network to at least keep it online. But yeah, I'm definitely I'm gonna keep this room and this central tower because I like this AE room and central tower. I do like. I don't know if I'm going to keep the Formcraft stuff up here or whether I'm going to move it. Personally, I don't think there's an issue with keeping this up here, but we'll see. As I am making a start, I did make a little bit of a start on Formic Energistics in my downtime. But yeah, I am tempted to keep this set up as it is, and I think that would be fine because this could just be my infusion area where I do all the infusion autocrafting. So I've already torn down I've already saved all my crops. So I've been gathering all the crops. And I will work on statting these up. So what I might do is do a bit of a crops NH episode, which will effectively be me rebuilding my crop setups, but using crops NH. So having a look at crops NH breeding, the industrial farm, etc. But yeah, I think that's the route I'm going to go down. So most of the base will be a lawn base, but we will have this sort of central tower in the middle, and then we'll still keep the rocket museum up here. So obviously we're up to tier 4 rockets, so we have tiers 1 to 3 in the rocket museum. And then obviously this big question mark will be replaced with whatever points I decide to stop playing the pack at. But yeah, I kind of realized over the course of this last week that, like I said in my last video, I don't really want to play through the GTNH early game on my own again. If I do a fresh run that isn't twist space technology, then I would probably want to do it in a group. And even if I do a twist space technology run, I may want to do it in a group. But yeah, I think I've invested way too much time into this run to just throw it away. I think, and for any, long time players of GTNH, you might sort of understand that feeling that, it's not necessarily the nicest of feelings to throw away a run and start again if you can address the issues in your previous run. If like in this case, I just have to tear down the whole base, but tearing down the whole base is actually still quicker than replaying the entire early game. So yeah. I don't know what I'm going to do with the LSC. So I can't move it yet because I am going to need it as basically I'm going to need it as effectively as a big backup battery. So I can't move it yet, but at some point I may want to move it. But what I'm thinking is that the sort of lawn chunks out this side may continue to be power chunks. I'll just restructure them slightly to make them, a bit more self-contained, essentially. Because at the moment, the way it sort of works is I've done like nitrobenzene production over here and then done consumption on this side. So I may, I may restructure the area slightly, but I think the general sort of vibe of power being on this side, I think is still going to stay. And then we'll basically have lawn chunks in sort of like a U shape around to this side, I think is how we're going to do it. So yeah, so it is going to be, I mean, it looks very lawn-basey already, but it's going to look more lawn-basey when I'm done. One thing that I would also quickly note, the reason that I put the crops higher up the way I did was because in IC2, vertical height gave you more humidity up to I think it was Y140 or something like that was where it capped out. That's not a thing in Crops NH. Crops NH altitude doesn't affect nutrient score in Crops NH. At least if I've read the quest book correctly, which I believe I did. But again, it's all very clearly explained in the quest book. So the crops in future can actually just go down on the same level as everything else. They don't need this setup. And I do admit that this, at least to me, this kind of looked cool. But I'm not sure I want to. I'm not sure I want to keep it. We'll see. I may roll a backup where I potentially keep these platforms and just convert all of this ground stuff. And just convert all this ground stuff, and then maybe get rid of the stuff in here. And this may just end up being an empty space in here, to be honest, where I just run like cables and pipes and stuff for the crops. But in all honesty, I'm probably going to end up putting the crops into an industrial farm anyway. So the crops are all going to probably end up in multi-blocks in the future anyway, which means, this won't look as cool. I think crops NH, though, might actually be better for TPS than IC2 crops, though. So we might be able to leave these crops up, but the industrial farm will produce crops faster. So yeah, but that's the general vibe. This whole ore processing block's going to go. This whole ore processing block is probably going to go and be replaced. But yeah, we'll see. I think basically this whole like tower is going to go. Or basically the whole dimension is going to go, with the exception of the central tower. I don't mind the central tower. I'm happy with the central tower. and I'm happy with the little sort of stairway to heaven setup up here, which may hopefully one day be a stairway to Stargate or stairway to something. If I was to put something up here that wasn't Stargate, like if I was to stop the packet something, it may be like tier 8 rocket that I put up here, but if I stop the pack after tier 8 rocket but before Stargate, then I'm not sure what I would actually put up there. But from what I've heard from people is if you go to tier 8 rocket, I think, or at least I'm fairly sure this is what I've heard. I may be thinking of the wrong milestone. But I'm fairly sure what I've heard is if you go to tier 8 rocket, then you might as well just consider going to Stargate. But that could be the wrong milestone I'm thinking of. I know there is a particular milestone where people say if you go for that milestone and you get to that milestone and you're not burnt out, then you might as well just go for Stargate. So yeah, I think so that's going to be my next few days, is basically tearing this apart. Luckily, it's not going to be too terrible. So I've got my universal wireless terminal set up, and I'm just magneting everything into the AE network. So everything I harvest is just getting thrown into the AE network. I'm probably going to need some more storage. So what I might do before I think I want to redo these crafting CPUs as well, potentially. But and I will redo this room in terms of the AE cabling, because I think I've made it potentially a wee bit cumbersome. So I might redo the cabling in this room potentially, and redo the arrangement of the cells and stuff. But and one thing I did want to quickly point out is, I don't know where it is. Is it where is it? There is a big red button somewhere in AE. I'm not quite sure where it is. But there is basically a button in AE now in 2.9 where you can press it and it basically reorganizes your entire applied energistics network according to the current configuration. So what it essentially does under the hood is extracts all the items out of the network and then reinsert, and fluids, I believe, as well, and then reinserts them back in, sort of all under the hood. And because it's doing that extract and reinsert, it obeys whatever priority and filtering and stuff you've got set on the network at the time. So for example, I potentially have fluids in those cells that could be better off that are probably supposed to be in the bulk storage, but it's just that nothing has drained the fluids out of these cells yet. And normally the way you would do that is just with priorities, changing the priorities on drives and stuff. But in the future, or I may have a load of items in the network that I now void. It's just the existing items in the network haven't been voided, but I want to void them all. It's just I don't want to manually pull them out and put them back in again, or use an IO port to pull them out and back in again. Now there is just a button that you can press in AE. I don't know exactly where it is. I don't know exactly where it is. I will have to find it, because I may actually need to use it. But yeah, so I think it's going to be a good opportunity for me to clean up the AE network and whatnot, and it's going to be a good opportunity for me to clean up the base before I proceed properly into LUV and start doing waterline and netherite line and whatnot. And I also think it will mean that we will end up seeing, instead of a load of cubes and rectangles, we're going to see a lot of nice multi-block structures. We're going to see a lot of nice new multi-block structures. So yeah, so I'm going to call it here. I just wanted to provide a really quick update to say that yes, so for people who may have happened to have been following my old run, that run is going to continue. And it will likely continue from where I left off, which honestly is the thing that got me out of the game initially. So I really have to sort of lock in and get through it, which is blood magic progression. So I definitely want to look at so once I've done this base cleanup, then I think I will be moving back onto magic and getting all of my basic magic infrastructure set up. Get all my basic magic infrastructure set up to then look at doing blood magic meteors, because at that point resources essentially just become free, and I can probably, or most resources, not all, and I can probably get rid of quite a lot of bees and crops. Not all of them. There is still some stuff that are that I can get from bees that are easier for me to get from bees or crops than automating meteors, or than meteors, either because they're not available in meteors or because the meteors are just, you know, small. And mining out meteors is a bit of a pain. Twist has a machine for that, but GTNH doesn't have like a meteor miner like Twist does, so there are different ways to do it. I'm probably going to look at... I've seen Nine's video using, I think, what was it, arcane bores, and I think Tooge, or Hamcorp, aka Hamcorp, has a video on how to, or in his GTNH series, did it with Greg Tech miners. So I'll have a look at both of those again, and we'll, you know, look at Blood Magic Meteor automation in the future. But yeah, for now, I would... but for now, that's basically just the update that I wanted to provide, and this didn't end up being as short as I thought it would be. But yeah, I wanted to explain the plans for the new base, and just quickly, I want to show you all and sort of explain the, like, part of the justification for tearing stuff down as well, to do with the, you know, multi-block structure changes and so on, and how it affects my, you know, my wall sharing setups. But one of the things I did want to just end the video with, the precise assembler now has a texture. That's the big change for 2.9. The precise assembler block is no longer transparent. So yeah, that's the big piece of positive news that I'm gonna end the video on, is, at least for now, because I have had people tell me that this has been claimed in multiple updates and it gets broken again, and ends up with no texture again. But yeah, the precise assembler now has a texture. So yay, big thumbs up, because it always annoyed me coming over here and seeing the press not having a texture. And unfortunately, it was one of those things where I just didn't know enough to sort of figure out why it was doing it. And back when I was doing GTNH dev last year, I just didn't know enough at the time about how those sorts of things worked in modded Minecraft to sort of understand why it was doing it and how it could potentially be fixed. So it was kind of annoying me of like, you're doing it, but I don't know how to fix you. I need somebody smarter. So yeah, hats off to whoever fixed this, because I think it was one of those little niggles that annoyed a fair few people. But yeah, anyway, so that's it. Just wanted to provide a bit of an update. The next video will be, yeah, you can see here I actually started tinkering with how to figure out how to cable up the AE network for colored hatches. So yeah, that's going to be my next that's going to be the next thing. This is actually going to be something I want to figure out first before I start tearing absolutely everything down, because I think I want to build something with this kind of setup, or I mean, ignore what's here because this could be completely wrong, but I want to do something with the colored hatch setup rather than this UA setup. And the colored hatch setup is probably better for TPS than this UA setup as well. Although I don't think this UA setup is terrible for TPS. And hopefully, because I remember when I did my initial video saying where I was using UA, I got a thumbs down on it, and I think it's the only video I've had a thumbs down on to this day. Hopefully it will make that one person happy, if they even still watch. I have looked at UA v2, just for those of you who might be curious. I have looked at UA v2, and honestly, I can't wrap my head around it. I think I just need I did watch a video guide on it. I think it was just a GTNH streamer that did it. And he did mention that, you know, his video was sort of a kind of a stopgap until, you know, a proper guide video came out. And I think Random Potato 10 is supposed to be working on a GTNH guide video when he gets out of Subathon jail. But yeah, I think I don't think I'll do UAV2. And I think by the time a guide video comes out and allows me to understand UAV2 properly, I'll probably be past the point where I kind of need... I'll probably be past the point where I think I need it, and I'll hopefully have access to just better tools that make it not worth implementing anyway. But yeah, the UAV1 setup, there's nothing wrong with it in my mind. It served me well, but I think I want to get rid of it. It is just a bit fiddly. You know, having to set this up each time I build a new multi-block and whatnot is just a bit fiddly. And it can, you know, it can clog Certain updates have caused it to clog, you know, especially because I'm on daily builds. So yeah, I think we're going to go back to a more traditional setup. I think it was good in the early sort of days when I didn't have the resource infrastructure to be able to just throw LCRs at the problem. But now these things are literally a dime a dozen now. LCRs are literally a dime a dozen. Mixers are a dime a dozen. Vulcanite is still somewhat expensive for now. Or actually, they're not expensive. They're just time consuming to make for me now. They're not massively expensive for me now. But they are time consuming at the moment. But that'll go away soon. And then even ABSs, these are nowhere near as painful to make now. The prass, I think, would still be somewhat expensive before I could start spamming these. But yeah, I think the UA setup was sort of really good. The UA setup was really good for, sort of earlier on where you want to get more out of less machines. But yeah, I think now, I think that's partly addressed by the colored hatches stuff. And at this point, it doesn't really matter because I can just throw stuff. I can just throw resources at problems now. Or most problems now. Yeah, so anyway, I'm going to shut up. And I hope that this has been somewhat informative. I hope people aren't too upset about me sort of bouncing around this last week. But yeah, I'm going to resurrect this run, and we're going to have a good go at it, and hopefully maybe get gate. We'll see. Tier 8 rocket is still the goal. I still have the goal sign. This is still the goal. So yeah, we'll see how we go. Anyway, I hope you all have a lovely day, and I will see you later.